Shashank has been training in charge from flight B. Did not post it. Training plan for today. Okay, Spurti, you tell me what is today's session. Okay, Sergeant Neha. Then, if cadets does not respond, please be strict on your attendance. Okay. So I'll convey the same thing to CO. So whatever the attendance we will take, and that will be final with the percentage for your C certificate for appearance. AC4, Kiran, can you just elaborate what is AC4? Quick, Baba, don't waste time. Air campaign 4. So anyway, I'm not discussing on air campaign. That I'll leave it to you as a self-study material, self-study content. Because they are
motivational movies.
Motivational
Movies. Motivational movies.
Motivational movies. I'm not in the mood to show you any motivational movies. Okay, fine. So in the last session, if you remember, we have discussed about the airmanship. Okay, so we'll continue with that airmanship, and then we will look into the much more details of airmanship. See, in some class, just remind me, I want to discuss you about the marks distribution, because that is what important, and that is how you have to prepare for your C certificate examination. Okay. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So just I want seniors to remind me before coming to next session. I'll scan that marks distribution chart so that I can present you in the screen and show you the weightage of the sections, because most of the cadets ask, sir, I did well in exam, but I failed, but I got less marks or grades or anything like that. So you have to very well understand how the evaluation takes place, and what are the criteria are required to pass and all. So basically there will be 4 sections: part 1, part 2, and part 3, part 4 in theory paper. So in each paper, we're basically given as a booklet. So actually you're given as one common subject, one special subject booklet, but overall marks are distributed like this: paper 1, 2, 3, 4. So in each paper is a section where you have to score a minimum of 45% of marks, and overall you should get 50% of marks from all these total together, and an average from all these 4 papers. So that is the minimum criteria to pass B or C certificate exams. How many marks? There is a difference distribution for B and C certificate that I will show you. Okay. So this is the just overview of how it should be, and you have to pass in all these, and also in practicals also there are few sections where marks are distributed. So I will show in detail all these things. So now let's head back to our previous topic. So in the last class we have discussed about airmanship. Can anybody tell me what is airmanship? Unmute your mic. Do not waste your time in typing. So if there is no background noise, I appreciate you to unmute and speak to me. So it will make feel like, yes, there are some cadets who are listening.
Maggie.
Lakshman, I said only if there is no background noise. There are a lot of background noise, Lakshman. Kindly mute your mic. Okay, what is airmanship? Quickly.
So for flying, certain discipline and safety has to be ensured. Hence, the study of such rules and regulations in both air and ground is known as airmanship.
Okay. So basically, it is the rules which need to be followed on ground as well as in air for the flight safety and also for the crew safety. So that is called as, and that study, we call it as the study of airmanship. Okay. So now let's hit back to the screen. Let me know if you can see the screen. I'll just present to you. So basic terminologies we have seen in the last session. What is an aerodrome? What is aerodrome reference point? Then what is the ceiling level? What is aerodrome? What is aerodrome reference point? APR. Can anyone tell me? APR. Quickly. Okay. So I will ask the question and I will answer it. Okay.
It is the geographical location of the aerodrome, sir.
Can you be more specific?
Like it is measured in degrees Celsius, so that exact location can be.
Okay. So aerodrome reference point is the center point of the geometrical center of runway. Correct. So it is actually the center point of the runway or the airfield. So as exactly mentioned by Cadet Nidhi, Popwell Cadet Nidhi. So you are right. So there is a center point of the runway. So these are the various terminologies that we have seen in the last class. What is load classification number? Load classification number?
It is the number given to the pavement, how much weight it can withstand.
Correct. So that is the load classification number. And aircraft classification number? Come on, you're all in third year. You should know this. This is actually a second year topic. Okay. Anyway,
It is it is
go on.
it
Go
is
on.
number given to the aircraft. It will tell on which runway it can land or weight of the aircraft.
Kind of. Okay. Fine. Fair enough. So we have seen all these terminologies, and with this, we move ahead to the next topic of airmanship. So you all can see the screen.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Fine. So again, airmanship is nothing but the rules and regulations. Okay. So any flight are given two permissions. One is the visual flight rules, and it has to follow either the visual flight rules or instrument flight rules. For example, if any aircraft is going to fly in air, then it has to take a prior permission based on, or whenever they plan any circuit or endeavor, anything they are planning, and they have to submit a flight plan. In that flight plan, that uh, the aircraft, whatever that aircraft is going to fly, they have to specify what are the specifications, and they have to give what exactly they are following up, whether they are going with the visual flight rules or instrument flight rules. So what is the difference between these visual flight rules and instrument flight rules? The basic difference is, so there are certain criteria which an aircraft should, satisfy. For example, can anybody tell me what are the basic instruments that aircraft should have? What are the basic instruments that aircraft should have?
Airspeed indicator,
Airspeed indicator, okay. Then
altimeter,
altimeter, okay. Then I'll write down here. Airspeed indicator, then altimeter, then Then what else? Only 2 instruments?
The compass.
Artificial
Compass.
horizon.
Compass. Artificial horizon. Then what else? That's it. That's it. What else you have seen in your virus aircraft? Come on, everyone has done a sortie, virus or Z. Tell me what all you have seen. You have seen airspeed indicators, altimeter, compass, artificial horizon. These are the 3. And apart from these, what are the secondary meters or anything which you have seen on the dashboard there? You have seen that pressure sense, pressure meter, and battery indicators, correct? So you have seen all these things. Now tell me, can we fly our virus aircraft in the night?
No, sir.
Why? We can't fly in night. Why?
Sir,
What is the reason? Why can't we fly in night?
sorry, we don't have a facility for IFR flight.
See, what is my question? My question is very, very simple. Why can't you fly in the night?
Turn slip indicator.
Sorry? Slip indicator. Yeah, that is another thing which is there. I'll just note down here. Slip indicator. Then. Now question is, why can't we fly our Zen aircraft in the night?
Sir, we can't see clouds in night, sir, maybe.
Okay. Fair enough. Then.
So during the night, most of the paths.
Sir, visibility is not that good.
Visibility is not that good. Correct. Visibility will not be there in the night. So that is why we cannot fly. Okay. So here is the thing. We do not, the virus aircraft is not fitted with advanced equipments. It doesn't have obstruction or height indicators. It doesn't have much of the gadgets on it board. So which navigates us through these hazardous conditions. It might be night or cloudy or bad weather conditions. So that is why we cannot fly the virus aircraft in these hazardous conditions. So for example, when you are coming to land, or when you are coming near to any altitude level which is near to any obstruction or any building, there is no indicator. In the night time when you fly, it shows very well that yeah, you are above the mean sea level. When we set to QNH, the altimeter will show you yes, we are this. But when you go near to some mountain and all, you can't see the mountain, and there is no indicators which indicates that okay, there is obstruction or any indication which gives. Whereas in case of other aircrafts, you just Google in YouTube the landing of passenger aircraft. So as they are approaching to the landing, then there are various indicators which gives, and it gives the readings also, how many feet above the ground. They'll give 300, 200, 100, 150. So it's keep on beeping, and one speech kind of thing which is coming, and then for everything they'll get notification. So all the advanced aircrafts are facilitated or fitted with these equipments, whereas the virus is not fitted. So the virus can only fly in visual flight rule conditions. So when we talk about visual flight rule conditions, so these are the certain conditions which an aircraft with minimal instruments that can fly with VFR. Because as you all have listed few, equipments, with those equipments we can only fly that aircraft in the visual flight rules. So what does this visual flight rules? It says is the visual meteorological conditions are said to exist when prevailing visibility and distance from cloud and ceiling are equal to or better than the specified minimum. It means the distance from the clouds or the visibility or the ceiling level should be quite equal to or above the minimum specified level. So now what is this minimum specified level? If you see here, for VFR, the visibility condition actually it should be 8 kilometers for 10,000 feet and above, and the visibility should be 5 kilometers for below 10,000 feet AGL. Please make a note of this. This is very important. So what should be the visibility VFR for 10,000 feet and above? It should be 8 kilometers. It means you should able to see very the horizon without any obstruction of 8 kilometers. So then only you are authorized to fly with VFR conditions. And below below 10,000 feet, the visibility should be clear for 5 kilometers. And the horizontal distance from cloud, it should be 1.5 kilometers. And the vertical spacing between the cloud and aircraft should be 1,000 feet. So this is the minimum conditions here. So in this case, so then inside control zone, what do you mean by control zone again? Can anybody tell me? What is control zone? You all slept?
No, sir.
Then what is control zone?
Sir, it is that airspace that an
Sir, these are
aerodrome
people-
has complete control over.
Very good. Who is this? Who has answered?
Cadet Sergeant Angela, sir.
Very good, Angela. So it is that area. So control zone means when we are talking about control zone, it is understood that we are talking of aerodrome area. So let us remind once again, what is aerodrome area quickly? What is aerodrome area? In the last class we have discussed. What should be the radius? The radius should be 1.5 nautical miles and altitude should be of 2000 feet. So this much area of an aerodrome, we call it as a control zone. Okay, so next moving to the next slide, applicability of VFR. So unless it is authorized by appropriate Air Traffic Service Authority, VFR flight should not be operated. When it cannot be operated, as we have discussed before, so this aircraft cannot be operated, should not be operated between sunset and sunrise. It means during night time, it should not be operated, and it should not be operated above flight level 200. Flight level 200 means what is the altitude from the mean sea level? Can anybody tell me? Anyone has the clear concept of flight level? Thousand meters in terms of feet.
Sir, flight level 200 means 10,000 feet, sir.
Are you sure?
20,000 feet, sir. 20,000 feet.
20,000 feet.
Yes, it is 20,000 feet. See, if this is the say mean sea level reference point, if this is the ground as well as the mean sea level, let me write this in terms of blue also so that you can understand. So this is mean sea level. Okay, so it's a flat ground with respect to mean sea level. Then the atmospheric pressure is sets. For example, if you measure the atmospheric pressure at this level is something, maybe the pressure might be something at this 10,000 feet. This is my 10,000 feet. So whatever the atmospheric pressure is there in terms of hectopascal, then that pressure we call it as with flight level. So this is a flight level 100. Then if you go even ahead of this at even much higher altitude, then from the mean sea level, whatever the, so if this is say 20,000 feet, then whatever the pressure is there here, so that is set. That is a standard that will be taken as a standard. So with that pressure, it is indicated that the altitude is 20,000 feet. It is actually international measure. It is international standard which is taken. So with this pressure means the altitude is 20,000 feet, and it is given a code. That is, the code is flight level 200. So it means an aircraft which is flying, for example, the aircraft like our Virus cannot fly above 20,000 feet because it is not capable enough to fly. Maybe it's aerodynamics, it's instrumentations, all these are not sufficient or not capable enough to fly above this 20,000 feet. Because when we go above 20,000 feet, as you all know that if you have studied the aviation medicine, there are two problems which occurs. One is hypoxia and hypopnea. Okay, so these two problems occurs, the breathing problem occurs, and to encounter that you need to have the oxygen masks, which these basic aircrafts doesn't have. So that is why these are not allowed to fly above this 20,000 feet or flight level 200. Fine. And also these aircrafts are not supposed to fly at supersonic or transonic speed because their airframe structure is not meant for that. And they can also not supposed to fly more than 100 nautical miles away from the seashore, because when they fly away say 100 nautical miles, their tendency to get lost is more. Okay, because they may lose contact and they cannot able to guide themselves where they are going. Now minimum height for VFR flights, now, except when necessary for takeoff and landing, except permissions from the appropriate authorities, a VFR flight shall be flown. So what is the minimum height that it should maintain from any obstacle is given here. So when they are away from the aerodrome or a control zone or any city area, it means the aircraft is flying. It is not approaching for landing, or it is not takeoff. It is a well settled flight. Now it is at certain level, it is flying. So when at the constant flying, the aircraft should follow certain height criteria, minimum height criteria. It means that it should maintain a minimum of 1,000 feet above the highest obstacle with a radius of 2,000 feet. Otherwise, in other case, if the aircraft is approaching for landing or it is taking off or it is in a control zone, then it is permitted to reduce its height to 500 feet. So these are the general rules which you should know it. So you can see from this picture here. So now assume this is a Virus aircraft and this is flying. This is not in a takeoff position or it's in landing position. It is just flying a level flight. Then if this is the tallest building, then from this tallest building height, from this point, it should maintain a minimum 1,000 feet altitude or 1,000 feet difference. For how much radius? The radius of 2,000 feet radius means from this building, though the building might be here, even the aircraft comes at this point also, it should maintain the same height because it is still in that radius of 2,000 feet. These are the general rules. Or if it is approaching for landing, then you are permitted, then the aircraft is permitted to have a height less than 500 feet. Who is joining at this point? Okay. Now we look into visual meteorological conditions. Yeah. So if you look into meteorological conditions, then below 10,000 feet, these are the criteria. So it should be 1.5 kilometers horizontally. This we already discussed it. 1.5 kilometers horizontal distance from the cloud and 1000 feet from the cloud vertical distance should be maintained. Okay. And under VFR conditions, if the aerodrome conditions are not in favor, it means the atmospheric conditions are not suitable, then the aircraft is not supposed to enter that aerodrome or not supposed to land there in that aerodrome. So that is what it means. Next, special flight rules is a controlled VFR flight authorized by air traffic control to operate within the control zones under meteorological conditions below the visual meteorological conditions. So these are the special permission given for the aircraft during certain conditions. And what are those conditions? Here we will see. So it is 1.5 kilometers visibility for military aircraft. So only this is applicable for military aircraft, not for the civil aircraft. Means a military aircraft can fly with the visual flight rules with these conditions. Though the visibility is not clear to 5 kilometers, if the visibility is clear up to 1.5 kilometers, then military aircrafts are authorized to fly. And helicopters just requires 1 kilometer of visibility. So these comes under special flight rules. And remember, this is applicable only to military aircrafts and military helicopters. Yes, who is that? Any doubts you can ask. So far, so good? We are good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you have to be very confident with these figures and numbers, okay? You should not be confused in exams. Okay, so here is the chart. Now, the ATC says any aircraft which is flying from VFR to IFR should not change without informing to ATC or without taking permission from ATC. Why is that? Because there are certain altitudes and standards which differs with IFR and VFR. So if you look into here, so the flight level is 35, so it is a 3,500, and this is so these are the IFR altitudes or the flight levels that aircraft should, maintain it, and these are the VFRs. So this is again for the different magnetic conditions from this degree. Means if you're flying within these degree areas, that is from 0 to 179 degree, then these are the altitude levels. And from 180 to 360 degrees, these are the altitude levels. And this is standard graph for flights at and above your coordination. Yeah. So if you look here, the flight level 30 is permitted in the instrument flight rules. So that means its feet in altitude is 3,000 feet, and in VFR it is, if the flight level is 35, it means it is 3,500. Okay, so whatever the flight level is there, you add 2 zeros to the right, so that will make the altitude in terms of feet. So that is a funda of it, or multiply by 100. So anything, both are same. Clear? Okay. Now, when it comes to the cruising level for VFRs, so when the aircraft is flying above, say, 3,000 feet above ground level, please understand the difference between above ground level and above mean sea level. These are two different things. So AGL is not necessary to be same as the above mean sea level. Not necessary. I told you in the last class also. So when the aircraft is flying above 3,000 feet, the above AGL, then pilot must follow the VFR cruising altitude even below, means or east or west cruising altitude, and flying a magnetic course of 0 to 172 that we have seen before. So fly So when we are flying at these courses, means in which direction we are flying, then the flight levels has to follow these things. Means the fly at odd 1000 plus 500. So for example, if you are flying at these degrees, then the flight levels or the altitude should be 3500, 5500, 7500. It means it should follow the standard odd numbers. Odd numbers are 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. These are odd numbers, correct? And for those odd numbers, we have to add plus 500 feet. So 3500, 5500, 7500, 9500. Like this it will go. And when we are flying with the magnetic course from, it is 180 degree. Please read this as 180 degree. There is a mistake. I'll just correct right away. Otherwise this mistake will carry forward. So it is 180 degree to 359 degree. If you're flying with this magnetic course, then it should be even thousands plus 500. So even thousands plus 500 means now it is 4,500, 6,500, 8,500. So what is the distance now that is maintained? Now why is this required? Tell me. Why this odd thousands and even thousands has to be maintained? So what is the minimum distance that is maintained between the two aircrafts which are approaching to each other? This is my question to you all. Tell me. Want to answer my question? If you're not understood the question, ask again. You got my question? That's answer it. Now this is my true north indication on this side, 0 degree. Then tell me what is the magnetic course of this aircraft. I call this as aircraft A. Cadets, are you there?
So yes, sir. Sir, not getting actually.
Okay. My question is, okay. Now assume this is a two-dimensional diagram. Please consider this as to be a three-dimensional diagram. Assume it. You have to imagine a little bit. So this is my 0 degree with respect to true magnetic north, compass heading, right? And this aircraft is moving in this direction. So what is the magnetic course that it is showing with on this aircraft with respect to compass? Still not understood?
Yes, sir. Understood.
Tell me then, what is the magnetic course of this aircraft?
270 degree from north.
Okay. This is flying in a magnetic course of 270 degree. What about this? I call this as flight aircraft B. What is its magnetic course? This is flying in this direction.
Sir, 45 degree.
Not exactly my
90 degree. 90 degree.
yes.
90
It is 90 degree. These are level flights. Okay, 45 degree means again it will incline. It will change its altitude level. It is flying constant. Understand that? Okay. So it means now, if this is our north position, magnetic course north, then this is flying in 270 degrees, this is flying in 90 degrees. Now, if you look into this chart, let's come back to this chart. Let me show you this chart. Now, assume, okay, forget about this chart. Let us come to this point. Now, the first aircraft, consider this to be as not exactly 180 degrees. Consider that to be 270, right? This is 90 degrees. Fine, fair enough. Fine, we are right. Now tell me, what should be the altitude that should be maintained by aircraft A and aircraft B? What is the altitude? Look at this again. The aircraft flying with these magnetic cores from 0 to 170 degrees, or sorry, 0 to 179 degrees. The altitude supposed to maintain is odd numbers of thousands plus 500. So this falls under that category, aircraft A. Come on, cadets, I want your response.
Any 1000 plus 500 feet, sir.
Sorry, come again. Come again, Spurti.
Odd thousands plus 500 feet.
Are you sure? I am asking about aircraft A. Aircraft A, its magnetic force falls between 180 to 359 degrees in this category. So it is not odd, it is even thousands. So
Yes, sir.
it is even thousand. So consider if it is even 1000, 4000 plus 500. So then its altitude should be somewhere.
Aircraft A flies in 4,500 feet. Aircraft B 3,500. Aircraft
Exactly. Now
A
aircraft B.
flies at 4,500 feet.
Okay.
B
Fine.
at 3,500 feet.
Fine. Fair enough. So now you got the point. So now aircraft B falls under this category. Which category? Odd thousand categories. Because it is heading in the magnetic cores of 0 to, in between this category it will fall 0 to 179 degrees. So when it falls between that, then it's supposed to maintain a odd thousands. So if we take it, it's not necessary that it should be 3000. It can be even odd number is 5000 also. So we have just taken an example of
Even
3
plus 5,000 feet. Aircraft A.
plus 500. So this will come as 3500. Now, if both aircrafts at some point definitely they will meet, then what is the vertical distance that is maintained between the two aircrafts? Come on, answer my question. Because both are flying towards each other, isn't it? And both the aircrafts are flying to each other, then
1000 feet.
definitely the distance between the two aircrafts is 1000 feet. Is the safety is maintained? Yes, safety is maintained. They are separated by 1000 feet. So that is why all these standards have been defined and the rules which are defined. Now, the aircraft A cannot take any altitude from odd thousands. It has to take even thousands only. So this is what we call it as airmanship. Hope we are clear on this. Fine?
Yes, sir.
But please do not forget this. Note it down somewhere. These concepts are very, very important. Next, coming to applicability of instrument flight rules. Let's see the applicability of instrument flight rules, when we can apply and what are the conditions. So far, whatever we have discussed, it is visual flight rules. Now I'll come to the instrument flight rules. Now, instrument methodological conditions are said to exist when weather criteria cannot fulfill VMCs. It means if the weather conditions are not suitable, then we cannot go for visual flight rules. See, it doesn't mean that well-fledged aircraft which has fitted with so many advanced equipments cannot go for VFR. No, that aircraft is also applicable to fly with VFR conditions. So preference is given for VFR conditions for any aircraft. If VFR conditions are not fulfilling, then we'll go for IFR conditions only for those aircraft which are well fitted with the equipment. Next, coming to so aircraft flying by instrument indications inside the aircraft or cockpit. So that is, we call it as IFR. So what are the mandatory conditions? The mandatory conditions. So when are these is mandatory? See, IFR is not mandatory during daytime. In daytime, you can fly with VFR also, but in night time, you cannot go with VFR. It has to go for IFR only. Even an aircraft, a well-fitted equipment aircraft also need to go with IFR conditions only for local flights, as may be exempted by air traffic controller for this purpose. And when operated more than 100 nautical miles seawards from the coastline in the controlled airspace. So it means these aircrafts, the aircrafts which are going beyond this 100 nautical miles, when you are going 100 nautical miles away from the coastline or the seashore, it can be daytime or it can be nighttime. So if it is daytime, if you are within that 100 nautical miles, then you can be in VFR. If you are going beyond that 100 nautical miles, then you should switch to IFR conditions. Because after that 100 nautical miles, the visibility is completely zero in the sense everywhere you will just see water. There are no land markings, nothing. You don't know what direction, where, anything which is going on. Then you have to completely trust the equipments which you have, which the aircraft has, and the pilot has to fly only with the help of or aid of these navigation equipments. A pilot may be allowed to fly in accordance with the instruments. Yeah, that's what, as I told you. Next, IFR equipment. So aircraft shall be equipped with suitable equipment. Yeah, as I told, well-fitted equipment aircraft means an aircraft which has the advanced navigation systems, which indicates the routes and all these things. So that comes under the equipments, and it should have a good communication system. It should have a good communication system, the radios and the long range radios, all those things. If it is fitted with, then only it can go for beyond that 100 nautical miles on the seashore, so that they can still be in contact with the air traffic control service advisory services, where they can get information on these things. So minimum height for IFR instrument flight rules. So what are the minimum heights? We will see here. So over the terrain or mountains, so it should be 2,000 feet above the obstacle, and with a radius of 8 kilometers. And elsewhere it's supposed to be 1,000 feet, and again located within 8 kilometers of the estimated positions. Next, we will look into right of way. Okay, what do you mean by right of way? Anyone? That's
So it is a traveling path from location A to location B of an aircraft.
Oh, that is a path. I am talking about right of way. That definition holds good for air path or airway. This is right of way, not airway. What is right of way?
From one piece of land to another, sir.
One?
From one piece of land to another.
No, not exactly. I'll give a simple example. Suppose a gentleman and a lady is walking around, and they reach to the door. What happens? Both at the same time. What happens? They have to pass through the door. What happens? Both will go simultaneously. Who will get the first preference? A gentleman or a lady? Exactly. Because a gentleman always give way to a lady and tells ladies first, right? So in the same way, aircrafts also have certain categories. You can have a similar example. A balloon, a fighter aircraft, transport, helicopter. So everything has right of way. So if you look into the order, balloons is a lady compared to glider. Because balloons doesn't have the 3-axis control. It just flies with an altitude and it goes in the direction where the wind is blows. So it doesn't have the control over the direction. So that is a balloon. Whereas glider has at least, it can pitch up, pitch down, or it can rotate with the help of ailerons. So now the gentleman is glider, lady is balloon. When it is compared with glider and a tug and glider other combinations, then tug glider is a gentleman and glider is a lady. Now if we compare with this combination glider and airship, then gentleman is airship. Airship is full-fledged controllable. It has stability to stay in air because it has an engine. Gliders doesn't have engine. This is aircraft has engine, so it can stay in air for a while, whereas gliders has to give a path to land. Helicopters, yes, helicopter is a gentleman and compared to aircraft. Fixed wing aircraft cannot stay in air for a long. It has to come down because it has to keep flying. Whereas helicopters can hold their positions in air. So this is the hierarchy of right to way, right? So we will cover this much more in detail in the next class. So just remind me where we are left with, so then we will continue. So hope today's topic made some sense to you and it is useful if you have stick around with me. Otherwise, I can't do much, right? Okay, with this, I am going to wind up this session. And before winding up, let me tell you, one notification has come from the group as well as from the directorate. You all might have heard of Atmanirbhar, that government India is going towards the Atmanirbhar campaign. So now, as we are 6th Air Squadron, we have to come up with the strategies. I want all the seniors to discuss among yourself, have some brainstorming sessions, how we can approach this. So like Kargil Vijay Divas, we can do this together. One webinar, we will do it in the coming week. And from the day 1 itself, that is from the 1st August to 15th August, we have to do. So what we will do is, every day one cadet will design a poster and that will be circulated to all, and that you will put it in all the social media with hashtag Atmanirbhar, with hashtag 6th Air Squadron NCC. It might be in Twitter, Instagram, all these things, right? Seniors, are you all there?
Yeah, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so just have a discussion among yourself after this session. So I want you all to do this collective work. Okay, so then Twitter will post this every day one poster. We all circulate it, and every cadet of 2nd year and 3rd year, they'll put in their account and they'll tweet with the hashtag of Atmanirbhar, local ko vocal kuch hai, local par vocal kya hai, what is the right thing? Local ko vocal hashtag and
Okay.
hashtag this, okay? 6 years. Okay, with this, I'll conclude my session. Thank you for joining.